Most of us have heard of the term FU money. It's a little crude, it's a little crass, but what's FU attitude? Let's go for a walk and talk about it. FU money is designed to say, you've got enough money that, if your boss is rude, disrespectful, you can decide which of the 5 digits on your hand you want to raise to your boss. And, I'm not a big fan of that, but I am a fan of financial freedom and having the flexibility to pursue your life's work. And FU attitude is similar to that. FU attitude can really have 2 connotations. It can be, the negative connotation is you can be your rudest, most obnoxious self and you don't care what the world thinks. Or FU attitude can be you've grown into yourself and you're close to your best version of yourself and you no longer feel the need to conform and to act like people that is not who you are in your core, right? We all, at some level, wear a facade. We can be a slightly different person at work than we are at home, but I think we have an inner sense of harmony when those discrepancies are as small as possible, and we get comfortable with who we are professionally, both the pros and the cons. And I'll give you an example. I've been at my firm for 20 years. And I'm fortunate. I have a boss that's great to work for. I recently told him he's he is the best boss I've ever worked for. But about 15 years ago, so when I'd been with the firm 5 years, it was like a casual Friday. So I was wearing a more casual outfit than I would normally be wearing. And I had a client meeting, and I told my boss, "Hey, I'm going to go into the back room and I'm going to change into my suit." And he said, "Hey, Azul, you know what? It's okay. Just wear what you're wearing. What you're wearing is fine. Just be yourself." And that meant a lot to me. And I think it symbolizes what FU attitude is. It's being comfortable in your own skin. It's knowing that, we're all a little bit different, but we're different in a good way. And it's okay to be different. You don't have to conform all of the time. So we emphasize different parts of ourselves at different events and different places in our life, but we still have integrity. We're still that same person. We're comfortable in our skin. We're comfortable being who we are. So I'm not a fan of the term FU, particularly because of what the word F stands for, right? But maybe FU attitude, the F in FU attitude should stand for freedom. It's the freedom to have the attitude that reflects who we truly are. And it reflects our passions and our interests and our strengths and our weaknesses. And that's okay. And that freedom can really be liberating and give you a lot of comfort and bring a lot more joy into your life if you feel you can be you. You've heard me say many times, right? I mean, in the comments, people have given me a hard time. "Hey, Azul, you're a little too negative on buying new cars versus used cars." And you know what? That's absolutely true. I probably beat that drum more than I should. And I always try to say, you be you. Cars aren't my thing, but adventures are my thing. So I probably spend more money on travel and airline tickets and things like that than most people. And they might look at that and say, "Hey, Azul, you live in this beautiful town. Why are you always traveling? Why are you always, seeking out the next adventure?" And that would be fair as well, right? So you be you and I'll be me. And I think that's what the FU attitude, the freedom to be you attitude represents. And I think in time, we attract the right people, the people that are comfortable with who we are and value ourselves, right? For instance, there's no one financial advisor that's right for everybody. So there's different people. There's people that are very technical and analytical, and that's the right person for some people. And then there's people that are high level and really their thing is, you live your best life and I'm going to help you live your best life and think through who you are and what goals are important. I tend to migrate that way, although I started my career as a very analytical person. My undergrad's in engineering. And so I do enjoy a good spreadsheet session. So But you be you, and you're going to change over time, and just feeling comfortable that you can change over time, and your team and your company is comfortable with you. And I think the world is a lot more accepting now than we were 20 years ago, than we were 10 years ago, and even more so now post-pandemic. I think a lot of employers are comfortable with, I remember when I started working, casual days was Friday, and that was very controversial. Should we have casual day? We're quote unquote professionals. And now post-pandemic, a lot of times casual days every day now. And I personally applaud that. I find it liberating to feel like I'm accepted for who I am. And that's what FU attitude stands for me. Now, I said, we've kind of evolved into the best version of ourselves. I think we always want to be striving to be better. As Plato said, we still want to chase the light to be our best person. But I think the fewer masks that we can wear, the better. And the more accepting we can be of other people, I think the better. And just recognize everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. But we as a team, if you're on the right team, collectively, you can offer everything that your client, everything that your customer needs. And so just having the freedom to be yourself, I think is largely important. And again, I think we have a lot more flexibility post-pandemic than pre-pandemic. So, this is just an example, the FU attitude. Again, there's two routes you can go. One is you can be this obnoxious person that nobody wants to be around, and you're like, well, I am who I am. And I think that's dangerous. I think, society has evolved into teaching us some basic norms that makes society in living together in a group easier and better for everybody, right? The United States is very much a individualistic country. Our culture is live free or die, and the individual has a lot of power, and not every culture is that way. You go to Japan, and it's very much the culture, and you go to a lot of countries, it's what's best for the group. Certainly the Scandinavian countries would say that. In fact, I found it super interesting in Denmark. I like to ask people how you would describe your culture. So for the United States, I tell people, we're individualistic, so live free or die. We're very capitalistic, right? He with the most toys win. I don't subscribe to that, but in general, I think it's fair to say that. And better, faster, cheaper. There's a lot of pressure on us. I think the United States is kind of a tough place to live, right? There's a lot of pressure on us to deliver. It's not an inexpensive place. We do have to, how are we going to pay for health care when the time comes to retire? If you retire early, that's one of the most common questions I get. And let me know in the comments section if you'd like me to do a video on, how do you get health care if you retire early? Also, give me a thumbs up if you're finding this video to be helpful. Leave me a comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, think about subscribing. But getting back to the U.S. and how we view our culture, that's how I describe it. But in Denmark, people would say, they would describe, I probably asked at least a half a dozen people, probably closer to 10 or 12, how would you describe your culture? I love going to cafes, having that kind of conversation at dinner. I love meeting new people, and that's my favorite question to ask is, how would you describe your culture? And in Denmark, they would say, we are all equal. And for me, I love that, right? And it speaks of the value of the group, the good of the whole being more important than the good of the individual. And I think while we want FU, we want the freedom. I want you to have the freedom to be you. I want me to have the freedom to be me. But I also want all of us to play nicely in the sandbox. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, as the kids say, thumbs for like and subs for love. If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about subscribing. It really does help others find the channel. Leave me a comment. I love reading the comments. It's one of the currencies for me of doing this. And until next time, I'm Azul, encouraging you, here's a bubbling brook behind me here, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, we're only young once. Let's use our time wisely. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.